Sorry about that, babe.
Alright guys, I gotta admit, it's been almost a month since I did this run. I'm not kidding. I've been so lazy not wanting to do the voiceover for this because of how long the run is. So bear with me if I screw up a little bit, but... First, as you can see, we start in Brinstar and we head to the left to get the Morph Ball. I'm hoping that my notes are correct here because I haven't watched the run. The run itself is about an hour and 15, hour and 16 minutes, something like that. Whew. I gotta stop with these longer games, man. They're a little tough on me. But basically, in Brinstar, the gist of it, besides the Morph Ball, is we get a bunch of missiles, some energy tanks. We get the long beam, the Morph Bomb, the ice beam, which ultimately we keep. The ice beam is very important at the end of the game. You need the ice beam to beat the Metroids, because you need to freeze them and then blow them up with missiles. So we never get the super powerful beam, so this is not a 100% run by any means. I also want to point out that I highly recommend that in this game you map stuff out yourself or you look up a map. If you do this all off the dome, unless you practice this game over and over and over and over and over, you won't remember everything. There's tons of like hidden areas and secrets and stuff like that that it's just tough to remember, dude. So yeah, anyways. Our basic path in here is going to be Brinstar to Norfair. You hear me flipping through my notes, that's exactly that. We end up... Originally I was going to Kraid's Lair and then Ridley's, but then I realized that going to Ridley's isn't that tough, and it's closer when you're in Norfair. So we ended up doing Ridley's first and then Kraid. And then we go to Tourain, which is the last area of the game. But anyways, at this point we're on a crusade for more missiles. The one thing that I want to say is probably the two toughest spots in the game are early and late. Late because the game gets pretty tough in Tourain. Mother Brain could be a pain, which I almost die in this run. It's not very good, which reminds me, when we get to Mother Brain, I'm going to tell you the strategy that you should have done that for some reason I completely forgot, and it really bothers me. If I would have remembered it, it would have been a lot easier. But anyways, guys, we grabbed our first set of missiles there, and the missiles are very important, namely for getting upgrades. The upgrade rooms require you to use missiles to grab the upgrades, and if you don't have at least 5 missiles, you can't even get into the room. Which brings up another annoying point, excuse me, that there will be times, I don't remember if it's in this run, or if it was in my offline run, or my practice run, or whatever the case may be, but I remember I needed to like sit there for like 5 minutes and farm for missiles, and of course none of the enemies dropped the missiles. Which, obviously, if you guys have any familiarity with the game, and, you know, just in general, I've been watching the run, the random enemies, or whatever, have randomized drops for either health or missiles. And it seems like more often than not, you get health, but I don't really know the mathematics behind that. And as you can see, occasionally they drop nothing as well. But our next goal here is to get the long beam. So this is when you hear the shift in the music, that means it's going to be a room with something important. And the long beam, I would say, is pretty important because it extends your beam's range. Instead of being very short, it's like double almost. So you see the red door there, which means you must blow it up with 5 missiles. And then you just shoot the little ball there. The little statue guys, I can't remember their names. They remind me of, there's very heavy alien vibes in the Metroid games, which is probably part of the reason why I love them so much. Reminds me of the space jockeys. That's what they were originally called. I can't remember what they're called now. Prometheus, they came up with a name for them, but anyway. So at this point we got the Morph Ball, 5 missiles, and the long beam. So our next goal is we're gonna go get an energy tank. And again, I'm praying that my notes were very accurate here, otherwise I'm gonna sound like a fucking idiot. Speaking of sounding like an idiot, I decided that starting with this run, I'm gonna start uploading the runs with commentary and without commentary, because I've seen on a few videos, not mine in particular, but other videos, people seem to not like commentary, and I get it. Sometimes people just want to watch the runs for what they are, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I don't know. I think if you provide good commentary with it, it's worthwhile, but if you're just, like, sitting there, like, farting in the microphone, then I understand that. So, continuing on here, I'm trying to get our first energy tank, which makes things a lot easier, because as you can see, things are starting to get a little hectic right now, right? You know, I mentioned that the early game can be a little bit difficult, and you can die rather easily, but once you get your first energy tank, as long as you're not super sloppy, you should be fine, realistically, through most of the game, because, you know, from that point on, you're just going to get more and more energy tanks, and there's plenty of opportunities to farm for health throughout. And here we are. First E-tank, baby. So now we're, like, no longer really in the danger zone. Another thing, speaking of the danger zone, I guess I'm just going to kind of drop tidbits here as we go along. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really remember the routing completely, so I'm not going to be, like, sitting here going, now you go right, now you go that. Just kind of watch my run, and I'm telling you what we're getting and why we're getting it. I'm not a Metroid expert. You know, when I recorded this run, this was probably, like, the 4th or 5th time that I've ever beaten the game. Can't remember which number it was exactly. If you don't want to use a map online, just make your own. It's not that hard. You know, I've made maps for games like Phantasy Star and stuff, which could be objectively more confusing at times. But we are now in another upgrade room, where I believe we're about to get the Morph Bomb, which allows you to plant bombs when you're in your ball state, which is very important. It is necessary to complete the game, to my knowledge, because there are a few areas where you have to Morph Bomb through the floor, or you have to Morph Bomb yourself up into a secret passage or a pipe or something like that. And now we're actually about to utilize the Morph Bomb, and we're going to get the Ice Beam. So, one thing I wanted to mention about the Ice Beam. There's actually 2 instances of the Ice Beam in the game, and I think the reason for that, don't quote me on it, but I think the reason for that is what I was talking about earlier. How if you end up getting the regular beam upgrade, you know, the most powerful one, I think it's like hyper, what is it, let me see. Wave beam, which is the most powerful beam in the game. As I mentioned, when you get down to Tourain, and you need to take care of the Metroids, you need the Ice Beam. And I think that's probably the reason why they put 2 of them in here. I don't know if there's any difference between them. I've read that there's not, but I think I get both. I think I do get both because I'm just not sure. You know what I mean? Like, maybe the second Ice Beam makes the ice last a little longer. Probably not. It's probably placebo effect at this point, but I gotta do what I gotta do, you know what I mean? Anyways, now we're on the path to the Ice Beam, so we're doing a little bit of backtracking here. And then coming up soon, actually, we're gonna have a glitch to get an early Varia Suit. Now, there's a few different ways that you can get the Varia Suit, and I'll describe that a little bit more when we get there, but first we gotta get the Ice Beam. And like I had mentioned, once you get the energy tanks, it could be a little bit sloppier, which clearly I am. I really don't care about getting hit in this game, to be honest with you, because like I said, most of the time you're just able to get more E-tanks, well-timed E-tanks, excuse me, or, you know, health drops from enemies. So, you know, I'll take a hit. This isn't, you know, a no-hit run or anything like that, so I don't really care. getting a little bit of extra health there, and now we're gonna see the first instance of bombing through the floor, which leads us down. You know, these are the secrets that I'm talking about, where, you know, if you haven't played the game a lot, man, or you don't have a map or something, imagine being a little kid, dude. I couldn't even imagine. You know, this game came out mid-80s, right? I can't remember the exact release date. I want to say like 86, 87. I could be wrong there. I wasn't even born yet. I was born in 88. But I couldn't even imagine playing this game as like a 5 or a 6-year-old. I probably would have fun with it, just running around and blasting stuff, but there's no way I'd be able to get through this game, dude. There's so much cryptic stuff that if you don't have a map or prior knowledge, there's no way, man. Here we are. Ice Beam, which ultimately is our end game weapon. It's the only thing that we use anymore. You know, I think we grabbed the second Ice Beam. I can't remember for sure. Since this run is so long, I'm probably going to take voiceover breaks in between sections. But with Brinstar, which is the area that we're still in, we're about to go get the Varia Suit. And I was mentioning that the Varia Suit, you're meant to get it later. The recommended route or path, whatever you want to call it, you're supposed to have the high jump, but there are a couple ways to get it without the high jump, and I'm going to show you one of them. Please note, guys, the way that I'm going to show you potentially could brick your game. Luckily, you're not too far in at this point, but if you don't execute it properly, you can get stuck in the wall, and it's game over. So you got to be really careful. But I think the other ways to get it, I'm having trouble getting up here, by the way. This is a kind of a tough jump. You need to time it to where the floor basically spawns in when you're at the top of your jump, so it kind of like hits you up. There we go. But the other ways to get the Varia Suit without the high jump early in the game, there's an enemy that you could freeze, and if you do everything perfectly, you can kind of jump on top of them to go get it. I tried that method, and I was really, really bad at it. And then I saw something about some sort of weird, like, jump skip, and I have no idea how to do that, so I just choose not to. I think that the way that I do it is the most consistent way. The Varia Suit area is going to be in an area similar to the very last screen that we were in, where there's an enemy and it's kind of like a hallway. But we're just backtracking to get there. And what the Varia Suit does is it cuts down on the damage taken, and I think it severely cuts down on like lava damage, which is another point that I wanted to make, but I got sidetracked. Don't freak out when you get stuck in lava and stuff, man. It's like, it's kind of like real life, right? Where they're talking about you drowning in quicksand or whatever. Like the more you struggle, the worse it gets. The more you struggle in this stuff, the worse it gets. It's better to just acquiesce, let yourself take a little bit of damage, and get Samus right so you can jump out, because if you kind of get stuck in this loop where you're sort of slipping up and down, you can't even get out. The only way to really get out is to just chill, and then Samus kind of returns to like a normal state, and then you can pull off a regular jump. But I digress. On the way to the early Varia Suit. I'm also going to make a glitch video for this, because there are a few glitches you could pull off in this game, but I feel like this is the most important one, since, I mean, if you're able to cut down damage considerably early in the game, it's pretty important, right? It makes the game a lot easier. Because there may or may not have been a few instances where if I got the Varia Suit when intended, I possibly could have died before it. Who knows? So it looks like, yeah, I'm farming for missiles like I was talking about earlier. I had 0, and typically in all these rooms you need 5. And there we go. So now we're going to continue on. And this is what I was talking about earlier, about utilizing your Morph Ball bomb to, like, kind of get yourself up into pipes. Wasn't exactly the best example of that there, but there are instances where you need to blow yourself up, so to speak, onto a path. But, alright. Time for the glitch, people. So what you do is you go over into the door, you let the door spawn on you, and then you press up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and then eventually you need to jump to scroll the screen up, otherwise the screen will stop moving. Pretty much you rinse and repeat until you get to the door leading to the Varia Suit. Now, where you can get bricked, if you mess your up and down movement, it is possible to just get stuck in the wall. It is very important to not mess up that movement. And I think the way that you mess it up would be, for example, you press up twice, if you press down twice, something like that. I remember I did have an instance where it felt like I was bricked, but I wasn't, but 9 times out of 10, if you think you just got bricked doing this trick, you got bricked. But that way, we just skipped all the way to the Varia Suit without the high jump, without utilizing the weird gimmick mechanics of freezing the enemies and stuff like that. I think this one's a lot easier, but like I said, you have the ability to brick your game and you have to start over. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But early Varia Suit, baby. I will take it. But pretty much we're... Oh, jeez, just ripping things out of the wall here. We're almost done in Brinstar. So pretty much all we're going to get now for the rest of Brinstar, we're going to get another missile upgrade and a few more E-tanks, actually. And then we're going to head to Norfair. So we need to go back down here, back into the room where we executed our glitch, but we have to go down the normal way. So you can kind of get the picture of what I was talking about. That flying enemy has the ability to fly up into the hole. And then if you're able to get up there, you could freeze the enemy up above to reach the door. Otherwise, you need the high jump or the glitch. And there is some kind of jump glitch, but I don't really know what it is exactly, so I'm not even going to really bother talking about it anymore. There's like 4 ways to get up there. And now since I have my Varia Suit, I'm very freaking lazy. You see me just running through stuff without a care. But I believe these are going to be the last missiles of Brinstar. And I believe the next energy tank, yeah, it's over this way. And then the last energy tank in Brinstar is back towards the beginning. But some shenanigans there. You know, areas that look like they're dead ends, right? Well, I would say more often than not in Metroid, they're not dead ends. And here's a perfect example of Morph Ball bombing, leading to the E-tank. And now, to my knowledge, there's only one more item that we're going to be getting in Norfair. And like I said, it's back at the beginning, so we have to backtrack all the way back to the blue area. As far as, oh, did I say Norfair? I meant Brinstar, sorry. As far as Brinstar goes, there's what? There's blue areas, the green areas, which we're in right now, and the gold or yellow areas. But yeah, we're going back to the blue areas. There is a E-tank that we're going to be able to get because we have the Ice Beam. It was actually very early on into the game, but, you know, without the Ice Beam or without... You might be able to get it, I think, with the high jump, but we don't have the high jump yet. But, yeah, like I mentioned, guys, Metroid's a pretty long game. Lots of backtracking. You know, I was trying really hard to get the special ending, where Samus is in a bikini or whatever. I just got the good ending, because I guess to get the bikini ending, you need to beat the game in less than an hour, which I'm not that familiar with the game. I think I could do it if I continue to practice, but I'm sure if you guys are watching my channel, I play a lot of games, so... Kind of like when I do a run or whatever, if I set out a goal and I accomplish it, I'm kind of done. My goal was to, you know, to beat Metroid without dying and to at least get the good ending, which is, I think you need less than 3 hours or something like that. Can't remember the specifics there, but yeah, I think in order to get the bikini ending, I'd have to do a lot of practice, and I think I'd probably have to skip a couple things. You know what I mean? Like possibly like skip the missiles and the E-tank that I got towards the end here. Like little things like that will chop off minutes. And then obviously having a better mother brain fight than I have here in this run will go a long way, of course. But anyways, we're back in the bluish area. We're about to get the last E-tank before heading to Norfair. See that weird block there? It kind of designates that right next to it, there's an E-tank. And as long as you freeze that enemy in the right spot, you can jump up and hold up your beam cannon, phase cannon, whatever the hell it's called, and grab it out of the sky. So now, that's about it for Brinstar. I mean, we will be coming back at some point, I believe later at the game, because in order to get the Tourain, you need to go through Brinstar. But now we're going to be heading to Norfair. And then, like I said, we're going to go to Ridley's Lair after that, since it's closer by. And then Kraid's, and then Tourain. Norfair... I'd say Norfair is probably the longest area of the game, right? Yeah. Definitely the most stuff on my notes here. I really should have done this voiceover like within a week or so after I beat the game. I do apologize, guys. I still hope that you find some kind of use of of my voiceover here for the guide. But the main gist of Norfair, quickly to go over it, we're going to be getting a lot of missiles, which is very, 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 very important for the end game. We will also, I believe, be grabbing the second ice beam that I mentioned. We will be acquiring the high jump and the screw attack, which are two very, very important upgrades. The screw attack is probably, other than the ice beam, I'd say, well, the Varia Suit, I guess you could argue, is number 1 or number 2, but the screw attack is up there in the top 3 for sure. That basically allows you to hurt enemies while you're jumping. Not stationary jumping, you have to do the spin jump. But it makes things a lot easier. Beyond that, we're going to be grabbing another energy tank, and I believe we grab another missile before we leave to Ridley's Lair. I want to say that there's something that I had written on my notes that I skipped in this run, but I can't quite remember at the moment. So here we go. When you guys see an elevator, that means it's leading you to a new area. So we kind of went back into the gold or yellow area, and now we're down into Norfair, which in my opinion is the longest segment of the game. I feel like you can get through Ridley and Kraid's Lair a lot quicker, and Tourain's actually really, really short. It's just kind of tough because of the enemies that are there, and the boss. No boss in Norfair. There's only 3 bosses in Metroid, and they're in, quote-unquote, the last areas of the game. Whenever you see those platforms, baby, you know something good is coming. Pretty much right at the beginning here, you get a bunch of missiles. I'm actually going to start looking at my map. That might help me a little bit. Doing some wall blasting here. Again, guys, when things seem like dead ends, are they really? Most likely not. These enemies that fly down, they could hurt you quite a bit, so I guess be careful there. Obviously, I'm being a little bit lazy with my Varia Suit, but... And we're going to drop down, and we're going to go grab some more missiles. And then we're actually going to head back out to the elevator room, which we came down, but... First, we need to grab as many missiles as possible. And like I said, I think in order to get, you know, the really, really good ending, you'd skip some missiles, because the people that are, you know, more skilled at the game than I am, they don't waste as many, so to speak. I do want to point out that it is actually possible, like if you're doing a no-death run, you could brick yourself at the end of the game. If you waste a lot of missiles, and the Metroids and Tourain don't drop missiles, you literally could just brick yourself, because you need missiles to kill them, right? And if they're not dropping them and you're at 0, you're basically done. You have to backtrack all the way out of Tourain and farm for missiles on low-level enemies, which could take a long time. It's quite annoying. So, long story short, guys, be careful with your missiles, alright? Don't be too wasteful. So as I mentioned, we're backtracking now back to the elevator room, and then we're gonna go right instead of left. And this is where we're gonna see, did I pick up the second ice beam? I don't know. But like I mentioned, I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter as long as you have it. I don't think that there's an upgrade to it, but there might be. So if you want to be safe, grab it. If you don't care, you could probably skip it. Because at the end of the day, you still have an ice beam no matter what. I mean, you know, I could be sitting here dissecting every single screen for you guys, but I feel like it's kind of pointless. Most of this game is just routing. There's definitely a few areas that are tough and a few areas that require some interesting platforming. Kind of like these ones with the disappearing blocks. Later on, there's a couple tough ones revolving around those, but just, you know, keep your wits about you. If you fall into the lava, like I said, don't freak out. If you freak out, that's kind of where things start going really awry. I might be getting the ice beam. I guess we'll find out. Let me see here. This is riveting, riveting commentary, guys, I know. But what you can see there is I kind of screwed up. I didn't freeze this guy at the correct height, which wouldn't allow me to morph ball bomb, excuse me, myself into this room. Which, wait a minute, is this the ice beam room? I think it might be. Well, it's either going to be more missiles or the ice beam. I think it's the ice beam room, though. Alright, I do get the second ice beam. So, like I said, pretty sure that what I just did right now was optional, guys. So if you choose not to get it, you'll be alright. But as you can see here, we're going to morph ball bomb our way out. And into here. This area definitely could be a little bit hectic, especially if for whatever reason you didn't have an ice beam, even though literally that room, you know, was an ice beam room. Oh, and this is exactly what I was talking about, guys, with the interesting platforming with the disappearing and appearing blocks. So these blocks could knock you off course, so to speak. Hurting you in the process. I find the easiest way to do it is just doing what I'm doing right here, where you just kind of keep jumping and blasting up. I'd say 9 times out of 10 you'll be fine. You can kind of get hurt, but you won't get knocked out. You can do like pixel perfect platforming, and I've done that from time to time, but I find that the easier, lazier way to do it is somewhat better. But we needed to do that in order to get up here. And we're going to be on a missile crusade soon. We're actually going to get a bunch of missiles, which is great. Because we have scrub-like abilities, and we need as many missiles as we can get. I believe that there are actually... Yep, I was gonna say back-to-back missiles here. But pretty soon we're gonna get the high jump, which I mentioned earlier is the intended way to get the Varia Suit. So if you choose not to do the glitch and you don't do the, you know, the freeze strategy or whatever the case may be, if you want, after you can get the high jump, you could backtrack out of here and go get the Varia Suit. Obviously, if you're trying it for a good time, it's not going to be good, because backtracking takes minutes, which minutes are precious, especially if you're going for that bikini ending. But one good thing about Norfair, I feel like there's a lot to do here, but a lot of the items are very, very close together. So even if it does take a little bit longer, oh, is this the room with 3 of them? Yeah, it is, isn't it? 3 missiles here, baby. This is very important, actually. This is one you don't want to skip. But when you constantly keep getting these upgrades, it makes you feel like you're doing something. You know what I mean? So now that we've acquired the 3 missiles, I believe we're actually going to go grab 2 more, if I remember correctly. We're just kind of dropping down here, going down to the bottom of this floor. Heading through, I don't know what those are exactly. I refer to those as clouds. The cloud rooms. Then there's another room coming up, actually. I can't remember if it's in here or I think it's in one of the layers. I refer to it as the dots or gumdrop room. This is very weird platforming things. It's a very aesthetically interesting game, isn't it? Lots of colors, man. Lots of colors. That's one of the things that I really enjoy about it is Metroid went outside of the box, in my opinion. Like, yeah, sure, it can be annoying and cryptic at times, but I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to go on record to say that I think Metroid is the most underappreciated, famous Nintendo IP. I mean, obviously Metroid Dread came out like a year ago or something, but I don't know, man. Metroid, I feel like, doesn't get talked about enough. Don't get me wrong. Mario's great. Zelda's great. All that shit, but Metroid's right up there, in my opinion. It's got to be in the top 3. So anyways, working our way through here, doing some more shenanigans, grabbing 2 more missiles. And now I believe we're going to be backtracking out and going to get the high jump, which will also make our life a lot easier, especially when you combine it with the screw attack, which we will be getting after the high jump. So lots to get here in Norfair. It's one big scavenger hunt down here. And my previous routing, like I said, I would go out of Norfair, back to Brinstar, and down to Kraid's Lair, which I believe is like the quote-unquote intended way by the developers and stuff. But it's kind of pointless, because I find the lairs to be rather samey as far as difficulty. And when you're down in Norfair, like, you're right by Ridley's lair anyway, so. Anyways, onward and upward to go grab the high jump. So pretty much we're just going to be backtracking out. We eventually bomb through a floor, and then we're basically there. I also wanted to mention too, going back to, you know, how much you play the game, what your memory is, are you making your own maps, are you looking at maps online? There actually is a very simple ROM hack that adds an in-game map, very similar to like Super Metroid. I think this game would have been perfect for that natively, honestly. I really do. It's one of those things, and that's when I was mentioning you just bomb through the floor and then you immediately go through the first door that you see on your left, and we're gonna get the high jump in here, but you know, some people have problems with ROM hacks or improvements or whatever, and I get it. But I would actually say, like, if you don't feel like making your own map and you don't feel like looking up one online, that particular hack that I'm talking about actually might be a good, kind of like a midpoint for you. Because it doesn't really change the game in any way, you know what I mean? It adds the map. It makes things a little bit easier for you to remember, have I been in this room, so on and so forth. Should have been in the game to start with. I'm wondering if it was just, I mean, it can't be a memory thing, right? Because if somebody hacked it in, I mean, it's there. But maybe it's just a bit of being lazy on the developer's part, or, you know, maybe they wanted you just to get lost. Because, you know, I mean, if you could beat the game in an hour or less, right, to get the bikini ending, they just wanted to artificially lengthen the game. I think my first ever playthrough of this probably took, like, I don't know, 7 hours or something like that. It was something ridiculous because I was getting lost all over the place. I still get lost, you know what I mean? Even when I was trying to do this run, you know, my practice runs before this that weren't recorded, getting lost all the time. And I think there's probably going to be an instance or two in this run where I'm like, wait a minute, where am I? It's a big game, dude. But we got some more secrets here. We're going to be bursting our way through the floors. But we are very, very near the screw attack now, which I said is probably, aside from the Varia Suit, the most important thing in the game. You know, if you can give yourself iframes while jumping, like, give me a break, dude. Not only that, but you're killing enemies. Screw attack is also very memorable for me because I don't know if the website's around still, but do you guys remember screwattack.com? I think like Angry Video Game Nerd was hosted on there for a while. Legendary stuff, man, legendary stuff. But alright, so now we got a bunch of missiles, right? The second ice beam, which is probably pointless. The high jump and the screw attack. There's only a few more things to get here before we head down to Ridley's lair. We're going to be picking up another energy tank, as well as more missiles. It might be these last missiles that are on my chart. I may have skipped those. I don't recall. But there's really not much left to do in Norfair. I'd say obviously the most important thing is the energy tank, you know what I mean? Because the more health you have, the less easy it is for you to die. And this is, those were the things I was talking about. I forgot to mention them when they were on the screen. I refer to those as the dots. I've seen people refer to them as gumdrops, but they remind me of the like the dots candies. It's a little tricky there, as you guys could see. You have to blow up the floor below you, because I think you actually can't get back up to the top. Multiple entries and exits, which can kind of get a little confusing. I know there's definitely been a few times where, like, for example, I'll take the top path on the way back, but nope, you gotta take the bottom one because you can't get back out, or whatever the case may be. But here is a tricky spot, right by the door. You can go through the lava. The lava doesn't hurt you at all. Again, you know, imagine being 6 years old, dude, playing this game. You know, the entire time you fall into the lava pits or whatever the case may be, you're getting hurt, but now the game's like, ah, just kidding, it's fake. But here we are, guys. Oh, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Just take your time, dude. Most people probably fall in and they start freaking out. I just walk very casually over to the platform and I jump up. Especially with the Varia Suit, it's not going to do that much damage. And guess what? There's an energy tank right there. So you can take as much damage as you want because you're about to be fully healed, man. As long as you don't die, of course. But essentially, that's pretty much it. At this point, you can go grab some more missiles, or, I mean, if you want, you can kind of work your way down towards Ridley's lair. But I'll be transparent with you guys, I can't remember if I grabbed the missiles or not, so we'll see. We'll see. This is one of those runs, man, where it's so long, and I took such a long break in between playing. I was grinding Zelda 2 for the last, like, 2 weeks. I did my first ever playthrough of that. I did an offline playthrough to kind of get my routing down and, yeah, really grind some tough enemies, and then I did some deathless runs. Took me 3, but I got it done last night. Segmented, unfortunately, because, goddamn, dude, I can't sit down and play a game for 4 hours. I don't have time for that shit at all. So I had to do breaks. It's kind of annoying. Leading me to my next point, like, a game like Metroid is probably close to my limit for no deaths. Like, even this was a little bit long for me. When it comes to, like, no death runs, man, I want it to be, like, an hour or less. And I'd prefer it to be less labyrinthy. You know, a little bit more just kind of skill-related and less on the memorization aspect of it. But, because it makes for voiceovers like this really tough, to be honest with you. Yeah, I probably could have sat here and reviewed my footage for a couple days and my notes and fine-tuned them and stuff, but, like, come on. I got other stuff to do. Plenty of other deathless runs and RPGs to start reviewing, playthroughs, and unboxings, you know. A lot to do, gotta keep the train moving. But this is kind of what I'm talking about, where Norfair, you know, there's a lot to grab, and it's just, there's a lot to traverse through, dude. Like, it's a pretty long area, especially, obviously, comparing to Brinstar, or the final one. But now we're working our way down here. Some more evaporating blocks, so to speak. Isn't the, I think the whatchamacall is down here, isn't it? I'm trying to remember where the wave beam is. We don't grab it, because like I said, we don't need it. I think the wave beam might be down here, but don't quote me on that. So we have more floor bombing shenanigans, because why not? And there you can see a little pause on my part, because I wasn't sure, am I supposed to go there? So I dropped down and I realized, yeah, there's nothing down here. So here we are, grabbing what's going to be the final missile grabs of the area for me, I believe. Yeah, okay, so on my notes I think I do skip some missiles. I'm pretty sure that there's more missiles in the general vicinity that I don't grab, because I have it literally crossed out on my notes. But our goal at this point, guys, is we're gonna try to get back out and around and down to get down to Ridley's lair, because even though it's a little bit of a hike to get there from here, ultimately, you know, backtracking completely out through Norfair, you know, going back through the yellow gold area, back through to Brinstar, and going down to Kraid's takes longer, because then you gotta go back to Ridley's lair anyway, so why not just get it done right away, right? But I will be transparent with you guys, once we get to Ridley's lair, I'm probably gonna have to cut my voiceover, because much like I said, your boy has a tough time doing long deathless runs because of time constraints. Well, long voiceovers is the same thing. Gonna have to do this in 2 parts, unfortunately, for me, but you guys won't really notice much of a difference, thankfully. But I did want to point that out, in case my voice sounds hoarse or raspy all of a sudden when I get to Ridley's Lair, it's because I've been doing a lot of talking. That's one thing I've noticed too, you know, since I stopped streaming, I don't do a lot of talking during the day, you know what I mean? Like if I'm working from home or whatever, I'm by myself, and then when I do these long Let's Plays or long voiceovers, it wears on you pretty quick if you're not used to talking, man, I'm telling you. But, as I mentioned, we're just kind of working our way through, guys. We're trying to get back to Ridley's Lair. A lot of backtracking. Ultimately, to get to Ridley's Lair, you kind of have to go, I would refer to it as all the way to the right, or the eastern portion of Norfair, and then you basically drop down. But in order to get there, obviously you have to traverse through lots of screens. You know, at this point you should have all the energy tanks that we got, meaning you got a lot of health, and you got the screw attack and the high jump, so you should be fine. You don't have to be pixel perfect or careful at this point. You know, just by merely jumping and freezing things, you can work your way through very, very easily. The best part about the screw attack is when you kill the enemies and they drop health and it's in your general path or vicinity. It's like you have a permanent health regen buff or something going on. But if you guys, you know, obviously are enjoying the Metroid content, I did do a Metroid review many moons ago. I was gonna re-review it, but honestly, it's not that bad. I think the only thing that's probably bad about it is I'm pretty sure I recorded it in widescreen. I had some weird, like, I don't know, fascination with once I started getting HDMI consoles, I went to widescreen. I don't know why. The games are meant to be played in 4:3. But aside from that, you know, and the lack of editing equipment that I had at the time, I still pretty much stand by that review. As much as I love Metroid, it is a little bit flawed, mostly because it's just, it could be a bit of a slog, you know what I mean? No in-game map, lots of cryptic stuff, and I hate cryptic stuff, man. I don't mind, like, artificially lengthening games with grinding or whatever the case may be, but when it comes down to basically artificially lengthening a game with cryptic stuff, kind of grinds my gears a little bit. So, in my opinion, you know, Metroid and the series in general is not perfect, but it is a vast, explorative journey with a good payoff once you complete it. I wonder, I don't think that, I'm pretty sure, like, the route that I took, again, you could, like, skip stuff and probably, you know, speed it up a lot, but god damn, dude, it takes a long time to get back. Oh, here we are. We finally made it. Alright, so now we're heading down to Ridley's Lair. Alright, so Ridley's Lair. Obviously, what's the main goal here? You could probably assume, based off of the name of the lair, it's we gotta beat Ridley, right? Aside from that, there's actually going to be some more items that we're going to be picking up, including more missiles, a couple energy tanks, so on and so forth. But in general, this part is actually pretty quick. The major gimmick, as you saw right there in the previous screen, was you shoot and work your way upward into this area. Which could be, you know, again, a little cryptic, of course. And I think probably the main reason why the quote-unquote recommended path is to come here after Kraid's Lair is, I mean, did you see that little gauntlet I just went through? If you don't have a lot of E-tanks, if you don't have the screw attack, you know, the Varia Suit, all that kind of stuff, this could be deadly. Even for me right now, I mean, look, I'm getting pelted, dude. It could be really tough through here. But since I know that I have E-tanks coming up, I'm not really worried about it, which is why you're seeing some of the sloppiest gameplay on YouTube. But you know what? Who cares, right? We're about to get some E-tanks, baby. We don't need all that health right now. I will say though, we are getting fucked up pretty bad. I'm trying to do some screw attack shenanigans there just to kind of clear the screen and hopefully get a health drop. I didn't mention this earlier, but you can get hit as you go through the doors in this game, which is really annoying. I got hit there, and a lot of times when you're getting, you know, your upgrade items and whatnot, like the crawling enemies will continue to crawl through the door and hit you on the way through, and it's one of the more annoying things, I would say. But our next goal is we're going to go get an energy tank. So we're just kind of traversing through here. Ridley's lair is very short in comparison to Norfair. It's about half the size. I guess if you were going to compare it to Brinstar, it's about the same size as Brinstar, but it's more compact, if that makes sense, so there's less to traverse. This is a little trick. As you saw, I bombed my way through the floor there. That way you get to avoid all the enemies. Not that it matters too much, but since we did get really harmed on our way through the previous segment when we were getting the missiles, it's probably in our best interest. So right here, there's a gap in the floor. You're gonna have to jump over it. That's why I'm inching my way up, trying to make the jump. Otherwise, you fall down like I just did here, but I did that on purpose, clearly. And we're about to go get... This might be where I skipped the missiles? I don't remember. I was actually just talking about it on Discord, excuse me, earlier this morning, about doing voiceovers for stuff and how, you know, it can be very difficult. Some people don't like doing them, and I don't mind doing them, but good God, man. I could not take the breaks that I take. So right there is a jump that I missed. That room had missiles in it, but since I failed the jump, I just choose to continue to push on in the quote-unquote preferred / normal direction. But if you make that little weird jump, which I've done before, but of course, you know, during my successful recorded run here, I fail it. It leads to some missiles, and I believe you can get back up there, but I chose not to do that because I was half-heartedly trying to get the good ending. So here we have Ridley already, and my strategy for Ridley is just kind of stand at this one block and just spam missiles, basically. Try to time it to where, you know, you're not wasting them as Ridley's jumping. But for the most part, other than that quick little blip that I had at the beginning where I ended up getting, like, bounced behind, you can pretty much just stand here, eat damage, fire missiles, because there is an E-tank here. And Ridley is pretty easy. I'd say Ridley's actually easier than Kraid, in my opinion anyway. But we're gonna go get the quote-unquote final E-tank, but that's actually not accurate because we're about to go to Kraid's lair, which was my original first destination on my routing. But other than the missiles that I skipped because I failed that jump, I believe that's all there is to offer here. Taking a quick look at the map, there were the missiles that I got, the 2 E-tanks. There are, how many? There's 3 missile things that you can get here in Ridley's lair. There's 1 on the bottom of the map, 1 on the weird jump, and 1 at the beginning, which I did grab. So do I go grab the missiles on the bottom? I feel like I might skip both. I don't know. But realistically, at this point, after you beat Ridley and you grab that E-tank, like I said, you can go try to get the extra missiles if you want. Otherwise, you could head on to Kraid's lair, which is back below Brinstar, near the beginning of the game, actually. Basically, like the very beginning of the game. There was that one segment where there's floors that you could bomb through, but before you get the morph bomb, you can't go down, so. Again, super sloppy gameplay as we continue on here, but, you know, if I see, like, missiles and stuff being dropped, I'll grab them. Just because I know the potential struggle at the end of the game with the missiles. You never know when you're gonna need more, man, I'm telling you. And I'm already cringing internally at how bad my mother brain fight is. So, we made our way out to this room. We pretty much have to just work our way to the top. It looks like I am gonna forego the missiles on this run. Again, guys, I apologize for not being super duper on the ball here with the voiceover, but I'm pumping out so much fucking content on a weekly basis that it's hard for me to remember. And then, you know, especially taking the big break like I mentioned. Couldn't remember which run was which. But it looks like, unless I decide to start backtracking for the missiles, that I might just say adios, and I think I say adios because I was trying for the bikini ending, which we failed. And little things like that, I guess, could factor in if you're cutting it close for the very good special ending, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna sit in here and farm for a little bit, or I'm gonna backtrack to go grab those missiles, whatnot. You don't need to do that, but I'm trying to be overly cautious because, you know, as much as I wanted to get the bikini ending, my main goal here was obviously not dying. And what's the easiest way to not die? Be careful, grab a lot of health, grab a lot of missiles. So we are now out of Ridley's lair, which means that we have to backtrack our way out of Ridley's lair, back through Norfair, into Brinstar, and then eventually down to Kraid's lair. So realistically, from this point until we get to Kraid's lair, we're actually not picking up anything of note. Aside from, you know, random drops from enemies and stuff like that. It's just a long trek. And like I mentioned earlier, originally I was going to Kraid's lair and then back to Ridley's, and you could see why, you know, now as we traverse our way back through here, how much of a time sink that is, you know, because you basically have to do what I'm doing now, and then eventually you have to come back and go all the way back to where I was and go back down to Ridley's lair, and it's not really time effective. And Ridley, like I said, is, I would say, an easier boss than Kraid. Probably talk general strats here while we're just literally backtracking our way out. One thing about Kraid, I think it's Kraid. Kraid, I believe, has the ability, if you have the whatchamacallit, the wave beam, which is the strongest beam in the game, and you don't have the ice beam. I think it's Kraid, it might be Ridley, but I'm pretty sure it's Kraid. There is a way, a cheese, where you could shoot Kraid with the wave beam, and he can't even damage you. So if you're interested in looking that up, you could probably just search for it on YouTube and find a video of it. But since we don't grab that in this run, it's really kind of irrelevant. I just wanted to share the info with you guys in case for some reason you do have trouble with Kraid. There is a way to kill him without him being able to touch you, basically. He can be kind of annoying because you have to shoot him with missiles, obviously, right? Or obviously the wave beam. I love those little statues, by the way. They're so cool. Might have to make a perler of those. Anyway, I digress. He spawns these like weird like spike things on him, and they block the missiles. So if you get caught in like a weird pattern, that fight could actually be very annoying. So, you know, the foolproof way, so to speak, is to use the wave beam, but we're just gonna grind our way through. Other than Mother Brain, I feel like Kraid and Ridley don't require much. As long as you have the proper upgrades, they don't require much skill. It's kind of like brute force. And I guess a little bit of RNG comes into play, especially with Kraid, but it's nothing crazy. Now, Mother Brain, like I mentioned, there is a good strategy for that entire area, including Mother Brain herself, but I completely forgot about it, and it makes me really, really upset. Because in a no-death run, especially for me, where I'm trying to, you know, express my thoughts and give you guys tips and tricks and strategies to get through, literally probably one of the most important ones you could execute in the game, I failed to do so. But like I said, when we get there, I will, I'll let you guys know what the strat should be, not what I do. Because what I do almost gets me killed. It's a little bit more inconsistent than the good strat. I take the brute force with a little bit of, you know, platforming and timing approach, and whew, it is real easy to get banged up real hard in that area. But we are now almost to Kraid's lair. Like I said, we have to go back to the one segment towards the very beginning of the game where there is a floor area that you could blow up with our morph bombs, and then we head down to Kraid's lair where we're going to be grabbing some more missiles, some more E-tanks, and then ultimately beating Kraid, him or herself. Don't really remember. I feel like Kraid is probably a male, but who knows? They're fucking weird, like alien creatures. Not really up on my Metroid lore, unfortunately, as much as I do enjoy the series. I also do want to get to Metroid 2, The Return of Samus on the Game Boy at some point. I've actually never really played it. I've tested a cartridge here and there, but that's about it. Be a fun time. And now we finally reached the elevator down to Kraid's Lair, where we get some more interesting music and cool colors. A little bit more labyrinthy than Ridley's Lair. Ridley's Lair, other than Tourain, is probably the most straightforward area in the entire game. Where Kraid's, yeah, it's not huge by any means. It's more vertically oriented than it is horizontally. But there's a lot of paths and segments that you can go on. But here we grab an early missile, and then we're gonna go back to the main room. And this is what I refer to as the main room. And we're gonna go grab some more missiles. Looks like a dead end, right? Nope. As you can see there, I was sticking myself through the wall. And once you execute the Morph Bomb jimmy up, if you will, we're able to go grab these missiles. And now we're gonna go back to, I believe, the main room again, and we're gonna be getting another E-Tank. So, I believe, have we maxed out our E-Tanks? Is it 6? I think it might be 6. But at this point, the E-Tank serves as a full heal, in essence, so it's still worthwhile in my opinion, especially if you're sloppy as hell like I am. One thing I will say about this area, I think it's, even though it's cryptic, you know, lots of secrets and things to blow up, it's a little bit more noticeable, right? This is a strat, by the way. I just literally fall on purpose into this stuff, jump up. It's easier to get to than doing like a Morph Ball bomb scenario. So since you're able to get a full heal, as long as you don't get touched up leaving, you're totally fine. Now here, you're gonna get into the Morph Ball bomb and just kind of roll to the left. And is this one of the instances that I was talking? Yeah, I think this is one of the instances, right? Where you can't... Yep. I was mentioning that earlier. Some instances you cannot backtrack the same exact way that you came out. We needed to go higher, which we just did. As you saw there, we got blocked by the block. Lots of blocks. That was a little bit of a mistake. I didn't mean to fall in there, but at this point with the Varia Suit and everything, we are totally good. That enemy hurt me more than falling in. So not too bad. And at this point, we are going to go grab some more missiles, I believe, and pretty soon we're actually going to encounter a fake Kraid. Now, Metroid lore aficionados, can you explain to me what's going on there? Because I don't really know either. Why is there a fake Kraid? Who knows? Maybe it's just the developer's way of trying to confuse you. That's very possible, right? But before we do any of that, we need to get some more upgrades as we fall down through this fake floor. A long ways, mind you. The way back up would be pretty treacherous, having to freeze a bunch of those enemies and jumping, right? So I believe that the missiles are going to be in here. Yes, indeed. So we're gonna grab these bad boys, and now we're basically on the path to the Kraid boss fight, which is also, oddly enough, another energy tank area. There's literally an energy tank in the boss room hidden by Kraid, which is pretty cool. But first, we gotta deal with fake Kraid. And as you guys could see, I was bombing the floor aimlessly there because, again, I'm not an expert at this game. I find like a lot of my runs are for people like me who aren't experts at the game. You can still get through it, I'm telling you. Here's fake Kraid. Luckily he's a pushover, and I think it's just literally one missile shot kills him, as you saw. Because the other ones were hitting his spikes, I don't think they were doing any damage. Which will come into play on the actual boss fight coming up very soon. If you hit the spikes, they don't hit crazy. We're just working our way to the right here. Eventually getting to this room. Or, oh, is it the... Yeah, fooled me, huh? You fall through the middle of the floor. Oh, no, it looks like I got fooled myself. You fall through these... Yeah, you notice how like it looks like there's like a, like almost a path down there? Because there is. Couldn't remember what floor it was. What room, excuse me. And I couldn't remember even on my voiceover. So here's the real Kraid, the bad boy, the bad guy. So the strat here is you pretty much have to hit him when the spikes are off. Now, if you have full E-tank scenarios and lots of missiles, you can kind of just spam, but it's a little bit advised to conserve some missiles and just try to shoot when you can. Unfortunately, he doesn't have that many openings. This fight is definitely infinitely easier with the wave beam, which again, we do not grab on this playthrough. Because after this area, we go to Tourain where the wave beam is useless. But luckily for me, all the damage doesn't really matter since we have a lot of the E-tanks. If you are coming here earlier and you don't have a lot of the E-tanks, which is very possible on a totally casual playthrough, I would advise the wave beam strat. But here we are. Now, in order to grab this E-tank, you gotta do some weird shenanigans. You gotta roll into the ball. You have to, first of all, you have to hit the block so it shows, right? You roll into the ball and then you hold, down and to the right. So that way you're able to roll into the hole. To my knowledge, there's no other way to get it other than doing that. It's pretty interesting, right? So, we got rid of real Kraid. We got rid of fake Kraid and real Kraid. We got the E-tank in the room, and there is another missile that you can grab down here. Before you leave, trying to remember if I do or not. Who knows? We will find out. And back in these weird disappearing, appearing blocks, so you could shoot away. If there's obviously a block to the side, just shoot and jump as much as you can. And like I said, my general strat here is always aiming up and jumping up. There you see I did fail, unfortunately, and I got knocked down from the damage, but I would say more often than not, you just get a little clip, a little push, not in the left or the right direction, but just up. So it's rather foolproof, but this is probably the longest section of the game with this type of crap. Other than, I guess, the very, very end of the game when you have to work your way out as the whole place is exploding. Definitely a long shaft, that's what she said. Pause, so just take your time here. And keep working your way up, and when you do, you're more or less kind of on a straight shot out. Definitely a little bit more traversing to go through, but you're getting very, very close to the elevator out. And there we do grab the missiles, as I said. And we're going to backtrack out to the other room. And we're going to go through the door at the tippy top. That I do know. Oh, that was... Whew. What the hell was I doing there? I don't know. We were trying to squeeze ourselves in a pretty tight spot, and we almost fell almost all the way down, which would have not been very fun. Getting very ballsy with my Metroid platforming, as if I'm some kind of expert over here. So we're getting bamboozled a little bit, and like I said, guys, whenever you fall into lava or hurting floors, I don't know what the hell that stuff is, it's yellow. Just don't fret, just take your time, you'll get out as long as you don't struggle too much. And especially if you have the screw attack, if you're jumping out, you can obviously hit the enemies on your way out as well. But it can be a little bit frustrating because you can get hit back and forth, back and forth. So here, there's actually a way to freeze some enemies to, I guess, get right around, but I've never been able to do that. So I choose to take the longer way, which consists of falling down and basically working yourself back up and then heading to the right. But there is apparently a way to freeze enemies and get around in that section, but I think it's one of like these enemies with the googly eyes. But I don't know how to spawn them. I feel like every time I go in that room, they're never there. So like I said, I end up just taking the longer way. It's not that big of a deal. Just takes like an extra minute or two. Not too treacherous by any means. If anything, I'd say it's easier because the other way, you got to be a little bit more pixel perfect. Like, obviously, you're probably not going to get hurt as much or anything like that, but yeah, that guy right there, see? I believe sometimes he could spawn in and you could freeze him and you could step on him and just kind of skip that whole extra 2-section route that I had to take, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, we're still getting out, so that's all that matters. And now we are back towards the elevator, and guess what, guys? We are now headed to Tourain, which is the final area of the game. It is very, very straightforward. In order to get there, we go back to Brinstar, obviously, which is where we are now. And when we go to the super long shaft, again, that's what she said, we will head all the way to the top. And I'm not talking about the yellow or gold one, I'm talking about the blue one. We head all the way to the top on the final door on the left. And this was an area that obviously you could access early in the game. I don't know, there might, you know what, there is a glitch. I've seen a speedrun, right? Where they're able to like coerce some kind of enemy into that area, and like I don't know if it's damage boost or freeze them or something, where they can get across and they could skip having to kill Kraid or Ridley. It is possible, I've seen it. Obviously I'm not gonna do that because I like playing the games, you know what I mean? I like killing all the bosses whenever I can, and I don't feel like practicing that much to get that godlike at the game where I could lure an enemy through a long area in order to kind of glitch my way through. But since we killed Kraid and Ridley, the area that would typically be blocked off, preventing you from going to Tourain, will now open. It's pretty cool, actually. Nice little segment. And I believe if you kill one boss and you go there, it will like partially open or something, but not fully. And obviously if you don't kill any of them, the only way to get there is to do the glitch. I remember watching a Metroid speedrun, and I don't remember if it was tool assisted or not, but good god, yeah, like the way that they jump is insane, man. The guy beat the game in like 10 minutes or something, I don't remember what it was. Might have been like 9 minutes. It's nuts, but this is the shaft that I was referring to, the blue one. We just work our way all the way to the top. It's really, really lengthy. There is, I guess, on the way up, there's technically 3 doors, but this should be the last one, unless I took the wrong way. And then we head down to Tourain, which there's really nothing to discuss as far as getting lost in Tourain. It's almost impossible. It is very, very straightforward. There's no items to get, there's only things to farm. But Tourain can be treacherous because there are Metroids. There are these little red, like laser blob things. I want to say are they called like Zebes or something? I don't recall. Which also brings me to a point real quick before we head here. Is it Planet Zebes, Planet Zebes, or Planet Zebes? I don't know. I always go with Zebes. Anyway, since we killed Ridley and Kraid, we could shoot their statues, and it makes that stretch that we could roll across. Now, like I said, I've seen speedrunners be able to coerce an enemy into that room, and then, like I said, they either damage boost or they freeze them. I can't recall, but since it's done so quickly, it's possible that they damage boost. So, Metroids. I'm gonna give you my strats here for the Metroids. You have to come in with the ice beam, and then you have to kill them with the missiles that could drop good health and good missiles. Take your time through here, guys, because if you get the Metroid on your head, it could be a bad time. They take a lot of health really quickly, and I find that the only way to really get out is to kind of just like Morph Ball and do a bunch of bombs and stuff like that, and eventually you will skate free. They're very easily taken care of when you freeze them. If you have a lot of missiles and stuff and a lot of health, you don't even need to farm them at all. And those little red things, oh yeah, they look like SpaghettiOs, that's right. I always refer to them as SpaghettiOs. I think those are like Zebes or some shit, I can't remember what they're called. But we're actually on, this is like essentially the final vertical section before Mother Brain, and then you have a section where you go to the left to get to the Mother Brain area, and that is going to be your area that's desired for farming, since it's right by Mother Brain. As you can see, just taking my time through here, freezing the Metroids when I can. They have weird like movement patterns, so that one I didn't even bother because he won't move unless I do, and I obviously wasn't in the mood to fight them. So why not? Just stay there. And like I said, this is a good area for farming. You can go back and forth, leaving the room, whether it be on the left or the right, to come out and grab the Metroids. I do find that farming can be a bit inconsistent. I'm trying to get missiles right now, and I think at some point I do kind of shit myself because the Metroids are just dropping health, which I don't need. Just very, very frustrating. Yeah, now they start dropping missiles. As you can see, oh, there we go, we got grabbed. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna Morph Ball bomb and you get out pretty easily. Just don't freak out at that point. Just get into your Morph Ball, bomb, and eventually you'll get out. Make sure you switch back to your ice beam so when you get free, you could freeze the Metroids. And all will be well. At this point, oh, by the way, these things, this is the final area. There's these guns, and then there's the SpaghettiOs, and then there's these things. These things do not respawn, so if you break a bunch of them, you can hypothetically backtrack, go farm for more health and more missiles on the Metroids, which I believe is what I do. Now, here's the part that I fucked up, guys, and I want to talk about it right now. What I'm doing right now is a combo of brute force, positioning, and timing. However, you can freeze the SpaghettiO things with your ice beam, and I completely forgot about it. I don't know how I forgot about it, but I did, because I'm pretty sure that I froze some potentially on the way down, at least not, if not in this run, in some of my other runs. And definitely the first time that I ever beat the game, I froze them too. But for some reason I chose not to do it, and it ends up almost completely fucking me. Anyways, here we are. We're on the precipice of Mother Brain, but as you can see, since I've blown these things up, excuse me, and I'm now down to 83 missiles. I don't remember the exact number of missiles it takes to kill Mother Brain. I want to say it's close to 40, somewhere around there. And if you're getting beat around, which I end up getting beat around a lot, you might be wasting tons of missiles. So pretty much all I'm doing right now is I'm going back out. I mean, obviously I'll take the health too, right? And whew, I end up needing it, thank goodness. And you just keep your fingers crossed that the Metroids drop the missiles. Now, if you're really, really confident in your skills, you could do it easily with the amount of missiles that I had, but I'm not confident in my skills, and I also wanted to get more health too on top of that. So that's why I come out here, but as you can see, we were getting down into the 50s, and I was starting to shit myself. Thankfully, we're starting to get some missile drops, so at this point I'm kind of like, not really much more farming is needed. Ideally, I'd like to max out my health and then maybe get one more missile. Hopefully we don't waste too much. I just wasted a missile there, which isn't good. Thankfully, we got our missile drop. At this point, with 126, I feel pretty good. So I think I'm probably just farming for health and leaving. Obviously, any more missile drops would be desired. I actually might grab some more missiles at this point since I'm now back down close to 100. I guess we'll see what happens. 100 is more than enough. So we'll see. What do I do? Do I end up going for it? I think so. Alright guys, so you're about to see one of the worst Mother Brain attempts in the history of Mother Brain attempts, but it is successful, so I guess at the end of the day, like they say in sports, they don't paint pictures on a score sheet, right? You get the job done, you get the job done. You can get back out of here, but it's very difficult, so that's why I choose to blow up the other barriers and then save this one for last. So now we're at Mother Brain. Like I said, Mother Brain takes somewhere in between like the mid to high 30s, oof, God, it's so bad, to 40s to kill her. And your ideal thing is you want to sit right here. Now, if I was smart, I would have froze the SpaghettiOs, and you could basically just sit there and wail away on her, because like the turrets can't really hit you. But because I'm an idiot and I chose not to, you almost die because of this. So you guys are about to see, like, things aren't going too bad right now, right? Oh, they're about to get real bad, real fast. When the screen starts shaking, that means Mother Brain's close to death. So at that point, you just kind of gotta gear up and really start blasting down, and you'll be out of here in no time. Again, guys, don't do as I do, do as I say. Make sure you freeze the SpaghettiOs. Give yourself adequate time and space to blast away at Mother Brain with little, you know, opposition in your way. Because you guys are about to see something really, really bad and really dangerous. And I was freaking out, IRL. I thought I was about to lose my run, and this is exactly where it happens. When you get hit over this way, it is treacherous, because if you touch Mother Brain's case, it hurts like a bitch. You guys see that? And then you just start getting ping-ponged, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't get out. Now, I'm taking my own strategies here. I'm not trying to freak out, but there is so much going on. I'm getting hit by everything. Mother Brain's glass case, the floating SpaghettiOs, the lava. I am losing health. Oh my god, dude. This was so bad. But thankfully I made... Oh my god, that's right! I forgot I got back up, and I fucking freak out, and I end up knocking myself down again. Thankfully, right after that, I kind of regain my composure almost instantly, and Mother Brain dies as we get a nice seizure animation there. But game's not over, guys. You are on a timer, and you have to do a lot of platforming. My advice is to try not to do the spin. I feel like it's easier to do the stationary jump and just kind of like float yourself around. However, I felt like as time has gone on, I've gotten better at the spin jumps. The reason why I suggest the straight jumps is I feel like that they are easier to navigate and they're tighter. Where I feel like the spin jump, you have to overcompensate with your directions in order to land. But basically all you do, guys, is you just work yourself up and you're on a timer. For the record, I believe I have fallen before, not in this run, but I've fallen before and I've still gotten out with adequate time. Obviously, I don't think I fell all the way at the top, but that's it, guys. That's Metroid. We did it. No death. Things got really freaking hairy there at Mother Brain. I do apologize for not having the best voiceover for this one, but like I said, it's been a month since I played. That's my mistake. I should not have done that. At the end of the day, as long as you watch the video and take my general strats, you should be totally fine to beat the game yourself. And if you want to choose to do no death, that's totally fine and up to you. And I think you can do it. I believe in you. And here we are. We get the good ending, revealing that it's Samus in a leotard, but it's not the secret ending, which is the bikini. But it is what it is, guys. That's Metroid No Death. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll let the staff roll, and I think I mentioned earlier, there will be a no commentary version of this run as well, if you wish to just watch and not listen. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I do my best to reply to all comments and all videos, and I'll see you guys in the next No Death run. Take care.